all. So, welcome back to the new episode of For the Love of the Game podcast. So, I think like today's episode will be more of a around the world kind of a cricket, like whatever is going on. So, I think we had a very like exciting Test cricket like past few days. So, starting from also England like doing exceptionally well in India, coming back from a lead of like from trailing by 190 runs to winning the Test match. So that's kind of the first time it has ever happened here. So against India. So that's a pretty big deal. Like well played to them. And also like I think the most like exciting fact has been the Australia West Indies Test match. I think Shamar Joseph, like he's the big name in town right now. And definitely, man, it looks like I mean I have not seen like past West Indies greats like say Malcolm Marshall and other things, but many people are equating his bowling action and style to Malcolm Marshall. So I don't know like if it's something similar. So I think obviously it was a great watch and great for Test cricket that like teams like West Indies are doing well overseas, especially in Australia. They don't get to play enough there as well. So it's like limited opportunities they get is like it's exciting if we get more such Test matches series. Test cricket should be in good health. I think that's the epitome of say cricket. I guess like T20 cricket, one day cricket. These are all like these are for entertainment. These will get the adrenaline going, but nothing like Test cricket. I feel so. Anyway, so let's start from the Australia West Indies thing only. So like overall, so maybe Pranav, you can like say so. What are your takeaways from that series? So what do you think West Indies has done right? Do you think that it was only Shamar Joseph, or do you think any other players who has impressed you from the West Indies side as well? So overall, what's your take on that?
I think uh, before the start of the series, I was pretty excited about Shamar Joseph. I had put out a tweet, and a lot of people had said, "You're hyping him like Prasid Krishna. Let's see, I mean, what he does because uh, backing talent is something that we all should do. I mean, you only see when he performs, and that is something that I really liked about Shamar Joseph because he is someone who can skid you through. And in Australia, you need to have one sort of that bowler. Apart from that, I like Joshua Da Silva a lot. I mean, his old style keeping, the hat which he wears, and then the keeping style. I liked his batting as well. Um, First test, I think West Indies were not at par with what they were expected to do, but in the second test, they did things right. I mean, one partnership can change the face of the game completely, and actually Cummins did a very bold declaration,
Right.
uh, 89 for 9 with a lead of 23 runs. I think when we were in the stand, myself and Prakash watching the India England game, we were saying anything over 250 could be very tricky, but they managed to defend 220, which is amazing. And credit to Shama Joseph again with a broken toe coming in, steaming in. He never looked out of sorts. And not only Shama Joseph, Alzari Joseph, and Kemar Roach. I think in the first inning they rattled the Australian pace, or rather the Australian batting attack. Uh, the way Roach got Travis Head, I think that, or was it Shama Joseph? I think he got him through a Yorker in the second innings, but
Joseph,
Head got a king pair in that test. He has been in a slump of form since then. So those are little things that we like to watch in Test cricket because if I'm sitting in the stands and I'm forced to switch
Right.
to Hotstar to watch that game, I think there's nothing like it because uh, when you're obviously when you're at home you have multiple screens to watch the game, but somebody who's already in a game and is
Right.
following another game, and not only us, the English fans are also pretty excited about what was going on. So uh, probably that's where Test cricket stands at the moment. You need such games where there are upsets. I will not call West Indies triumphing Australia an upset because they are very well capable of it. Uh, if Ireland trounced Pakistan, then I'll call it as an upset. But in terms of West Indies trouncing Australia, it's not an upset. They're pretty capable of it, and I like the way how Craig Brathwaite responded to
Rodney Hogg.
Rodney Hawk. Yeah, I was not able to remember his name by showing his biceps. So probably it takes a bit to encourage Test cricket, and I hope we get to see more such games. Even the India England game went pretty close because Bumrah and Siraj were having fun,
Right.
but did not last quite a lot, but I think overall Test cricket is now looking great. But now with the IPL season in, people will forget these games. But let me remind you, Test cricket is always here to stay.
Right.
You watch Test cricket, you'll learn more things about cricket because
Right.
one day in T20 gives you only, like Saptak mentioned, the entertainment part, but Test cricket gives you grit and determination. We are recording this when it's tea at Vizag, and if you go back and look at Bumrah's spell, you'll realize what Test cricket actually means.
Very true, very true. So to just finish off on Shamar Joseph, I think a very good like statement he made was that he's always dedicated to Test cricket and West Indies. Like even with all the PSL contracts he's getting and everything the it's going on. I think if he can maintain that, I think like it's beneficial for Test cricket health, like not only for his like development as a cricketer. But so yeah, so Prakash, any takeaways from this Australia West Indies series for you?
I'll just follow up on what you said about Shamar Joseph. He's been given West Indies have given him a permanent contract already today. And this PSL thing is just point scoring. He's not going to play. He's injured. He's even not going to. I think was it the ILT20 or some other agents? Right now, with what he's done, people will pursue him as much as they possibly can because he's the flavor of the month, very much like what Rinku Singh was. I doubt he will play. He may get a IPL this thing, and I think in terms of saving himself and saving his body, it just makes more sense for him to play the IPL rather than any of these smaller leagues, simply because he'll make a hell of a lot more money. And I don't know how to put this, but for somebody who was a security guard,
Right.
I don't think his greed is going to be too high. So it's not going to be that problem. I hope the West Indies protect him because this kind of pace and this kind of, this bounce that he was getting, not everybody can do. There is a gentleman called P Dog Prasanna who was a scout, and there are many stories on Twitter about how it's in Tamil, so maybe a lot of people will not get it. But I hope somebody put subtitles on one of those things. It's truly inspiring what this guy has done. Although I'd like to add that Shamar Joseph took the wickets, but even Alzari Joseph bowled very, very well. This guy suddenly, when he's on, he's a handful. It's not like even he's as good as anybody else going around right now. Just that has to click for him. Beating Australia at the Gabba is not easy. UK in the last 38, 35 years, only two teams have done it. So again, I wouldn't call it an upset, but it is a startling victory. It's something they can be very, very proud of, and it'll be spoken for a long time to come. With the England, this thing, I still maintain it. Although, yes, Bumrah has bowled a beautiful spell right now, but our first inning batting is pathetic. We should have scored in both the innings at least 75 to 100 runs more in order to kill the game. The India I know kills the game in the first innings. Batsmen, everybody barring Jaiswal in the second test needs to really look in the mirror and say, are they doing enough? Because if our 9, 10, and 11 can be so comfortable, agreed that today was also a good day to bat, but our top 3, top 5 really have to ask themselves what's going on. I'll give Patti. I won't blame Patidar at all. He was playing his first game. You need to give somebody that much of a leeway, but Gill, Iyer, even Rohit, they need to ask themselves some serious questions.
Yeah. So since you brought this up, so like my only point here is I think the most of the dismisses of the Indian batters, even in the last test, even in the first innings here, has been very soft. Like it's not the bowlers have got them out with beauties. Like they have as basically thrown away wickets. So I think that's more of a mindset, concentration kind of an issue, I think maybe. So yeah, since we are talking about that, Pranav, like what are your thoughts on the Indian batting in the past two tests? So what's your thought on
I
that? Yeah.
think I think if we review back the Hyderabad test, a lot of people say that we threw over wickets in the second innings and so on and so forth. But what I feel is we were below par when Jadeja and Aksa were comfortable because Root took 3 wickets for none, and that is where the game changed. Because if you suppose you're batting at till lunch, you're putting mental pressure on England, and Test matches are not won, only with what good spells. It's a mental game because imagine you kept because if you look at it, Jadeja and Aksa were comfortable. It's not like they can't bat or you expect a lot from them. And they could have taken the game till tea and then maybe a declaration or something, so that I think 190, had it been 250, things would have been different,
Right.
because you know you can't have uh, the body language and everything is a different story, because we all saw that live. Because I don't know how much it was shown in the TV, but the way Rohit and others were fielding or feeling when the target was given of 231, they were not comfortable. Is what I saw. Because and it's quite natural, because they were employing their sweeps. Hartley and Rehan got runs, so that is where I think the difference is. And here the match is a little evenly poised. I think if India uh, restricts England around 300, not 300, but that's a little too far. But 270, 300, I think they're in the game. Then again, they have to bat more. So in Test cricket, it's about batting time, and I think a lot of people might not agree with me, and that's why Cheteshwar Pujara was a binding this thing for us,
Right.
because he took time away from the opposition. A lot of players say his strike rate is low, this, that, but in India, what's key is you have to carry yourself in, and that's when you get runs. So when you're talking about Pujara, he just stood there, and I'm just reading Sridhar's book, and there Shakti makes a comment: stop riding a Luna and get on a Harley Davidson, and that's when he outscores Rohit. But the thing is, you need to have that binding act, and with our number three or number four or number five, let's keep it aside because it's Patidar. But three and four are those weak links and I think it's a little shaky at the moment. And if one of KL Rahul or Virat Kohli are back, I think you might see and Gill being dropped in the next test, because he's been given enough chances. I think he's not converted his starts. The second innings could be an ultimatum. Shreyas Iyer as well. Probably his spin game will save him for this series, but you can't find a better number five than Shreyas Iyer at the moment in the current Indian batting line, because of the way he plays spin, but he has not been able to step up to what is expected out of him. So in case KL Rahul and Virat Kohli are back for the third test, I think these two guys might end up being dropped, with Sarfraz waiting in the wings, Abhimanyu Ishwaran doing well. You also have Cheteshwar Pujara in one corner of the world. Ravi Shastri mentioned that he's been grinding runs, and the next test is in Rajkot. So there are certain things like a sword hanging in front of Gill, and I think probably it's best to give him a break and address his technical faults before the IPL, because you have a long home tour or a home season. You have next five tests, three versus New Zealand, two versus Bangladesh after this series. You can carry Gill with the team, address his faults, but I think it's high time he should be dropped, because I did not see that sort of technique or application from Gill in terms of Hyderabad test. Here he did show a little bit of maturity when he was batting with Jaiswal, but fending that wide delivery to James Anderson is, I don't know, because you could have easily left that ball. Technical wise, we can speak a lot, but I think it's better to give Gill a break by dropping him and saying, first go back and work on your basics. Because in India, it's essential for you to score runs, like how it's essential for you to win World Cups. So probably it's time for Gill. Iyer, maybe three more games and he's also done.
Okay. So Prakash, so are you on the same page that Gill, maybe this will be a last chance for him? Or you guys playing him next
I
match?
think both. I think both Gill and Iyer need to be dropped because you've got. We know Virat is going to be back, so one of them has to make way. And you have Sarfraz waiting over there, who is, from what I understand, is a very, very good player of spin. So, and he's been playing Ranji for a long time. I'll just give these two guys also something that they haven't played enough of Ranji cricket over here, and there is a patience factor missing with both of them. They want to, more so with Iyer, sorry, with Gill. He was out thunk. Yes, he could have left that ball. I agree, but the same thing has to apply to Iyer because it was a half tracker, that ball. He could have pulled out of that shot, or he could have checked his shot. He didn't have to go for it full. There's this patience aspect that is there. It's nothing to do with their skill, whether they belong at this level. There is no doubt in that. But it's just that what's the point in having all this skill when you can't be in the middle for long enough?
Yeah.
So I think it's about time both of them get dropped. Yeah, I hate to say this about any player, but if you're not going to score runs in the top five of the Indian batting order, you don't belong there.
So if
I
you
think
drop both of them, so who bats at number three from the current squad? Or you bring in someone?
KL Rahul.
I'll
KL
put
Rahul.
Rahul, Virat, well, put even I don't know. You can fix that. That's not the issue. Patidar can bat at three.
Yeah,
He
he's,
bats high.
he's, he's actually a top three for Madhya Pradesh.
Right.
He's a top three player. To bat at 1, 2, 3 is not an issue in India. It's not like it's seaming conditions or bouncy conditions. You don't need an expert over here. This is something we can plug and play. No problem.
Right.
Because the reason why we need to drop Gill is because you have 5 tests in Border Gavaskar Trophy, and Gill's back foot game is required for that. So you can't allow him to go into a slump and then come back to Border Gavaskar Trophy under pressure. A lot of people will come at me saying, "Boss, you're dropping Gill but getting him back again for Border Gavaskar Trophy." What we need to understand here is I'm talking about the back foot game. I'm not talking about if you go back to the Australia West Indies series, a lot of people got out fending to balls which were actually played to be in the back foot. So the reason why we want Gill, and I think it's also a problem with Gill shifting to number three. I remember Sunil Gavaskar mentioning this on air. Probably one of the best points he made in the recent past, that Gill actually suits opening the batting, because I don't know how he wants to bat at number three, or what is the situation, because at number three, you need someone who's mentally solid. And Gill has a knack of playing the new ball. And that's a different ball game, because a lot of people tell me that Kohli bats at three in one day internationals and T20s, he bats at four in Test cricket. I think these positions are a lot about the mindset. And Gill, he might have the temperament for number three, but he doesn't have that ability to show what it takes at number three when it comes to opening the batting. So I think he could be pushed as a backup opener, and you can have Patidar at three, Kohli four, KL Rahul five. And trust me, I am very impressed with Pona Srikar Bharat's batting, because a lot of people have told me that he does not bat well, he does not play spin well, but I saw in Hyderabad he actually put on a good partnership with Ashwin. Had he not got a good ball from Hartley, he might have actually won the game for us, because he played a good hand. He even looked good in this innings as well. But again, throwing away starts, it's not a 396 wicket, I can tell you.
Yeah. So I guess so. Let's talk about the England part of it. I guess so. Like, not many people expect them to dominate the way they did after conceding a lead of say 190 runs. So the batting part, we all know how things panned out. So maybe you two were in the stadium. So regarding baseball, so did you see a lot of field changes, or how is baseball in the field basically, or they stick to a particular plan and then they give it time to materialize? So how are those kind of things panning out there?
Every 3 balls, Ben Stokes was changing the field.
Mm.
He Although it did look like a blunder when he opened the bowling with Hartley and his first ball went for
Right.
6. He gave him 9 overs, probably a few too many overs. I also think if they played Anderson instead of Wood at Hyderabad, the game would have gotten over even more quicker, because Anderson would have brought in that control. I think they made a big blunder there not playing him. You can see by the result. This is probably going, this venue and Rajkot will be the most flattest wickets we'll get, and he's going at a little over 2 and over. So he's a bloody legend, this guy. I don't know how they. And to England's credit, their selections have actually been all right. They've even ended up playing Ben Fox,
Right.
who's been a he's been the better keeper amongst the two, at least from what I've seen so far. Their selections have been okay. Their batting, I was surprised Rolly Pop did that, played that 196. But I think the guy for me was Ben Duckett. He's played that Sehwag-esque kind of role, although it's not a 50 or a milestone that will count in the scorecards, but he took the spinners off their line and length. He's got so many different kinds of sweeps, and I said it before the series also that even today they put on 40 something runs, but they gave the start where the bowlers were a little bit, if not for a spell that we've just witnessed by Bumrah, this game would have been gone again if we had our moods would have been completely different if we didn't see the last 30-40 minutes before tea. So you must give credit where it's due. They've done excellent planning, and this is going to be a series that we'll remember. It's not going to be one-sided as we were thinking, or at least as I think.
Yeah, I think the only misconception most people have about baseball is like they think it's just come and bash bowlers away. I think there is a lot of meticulous planning which goes behind as well, behind that. So it's not only just come and like smack everybody from ball one, not that kind of a thing. Even with their field placements and I think like the vibe they give is a very chilled kind of atmosphere, but deep down there is a lot of planning as well. So that's I think the main thing about baseball. So anyway, so let's see how this test match pans out. Very interesting situation right now. I think it has started again. So yeah, so apart from that, so now let's talk about maybe the under 19s a bit. So I think one name from the Indian side which is making a bit of like noise is Musheer Khan. I think Sarfaraz Khan's brother. So I think like some people are comparing him with Dhoni as well. So I haven't seen him live that much, but so if you guys have seen him, so what are your take on it? What's your take on him as a batter?
I
He
think
is okay. Now let Pranav go ahead.
no. So basically, Mushi's batting is something that reminds me of Prithvi Shaw when he was young, because he's got that temperament to actually stick around and play big knocks. But comparing him to Dhoni is a lot too. That's way ahead. But he deserves a place in the under 19 side, and I think potentially if India win the cup, which uh, they should probably because they are facing next South Africa. Uh, I think Bashir will play a big role because uh, the way these guys have planned out, and credit to I think Rishikesh Kanitkar is the head coach alongside Vivis Lakshman being the director of the team. So credit to these guys to actually get that plan. And there's one more player called as Das. I don't remember his first name, but uh, that guy has got very very great power. The sixes that he hit, be it any team, finishing the game is actually a skill. Uh, and India have got to big scores every game. I think Mushir uh, scored a couple of hundreds. Uday Sharan got a couple of hundreds. Remember, Uday Sharan was a traveling reserve in the last under 19 World Cup. So from there to become the captain of the side and actually take the responsibility is a big, big thing. I like Raj Limbani as well because he's an excellent pacer. All round, it's looking good. Ominous signs, but what I'll try and reserve my words is that these guys need to play more cricket at
Right.
A level now. The fast tracking business has to stop. There are good people in A tours doing really well. Yash Dayal and Akash Deep are doing really well versus England Lions, if anybody's following those games. So that structure has to come along, and Mushir really looks a talent, but we need to have patience with him. It's not that you straight away bring him to the T20A side and say, go play. No, you have to be a little patient with him because he's just young, and young talent could be a double-edged sword. Probably he looks good, and there's no two ways about
With Musheer, there is no fitness excuse either. Whatever excuse they've been giving about Sarfraz, there is no fitness excuse. I'll just say this about Musheer: he's an upgrade to Jadeja. If we have like for like in Aksar, he's in fact even better than that sort of, when you see this hero, this is the guy we need to follow in our life. This fellow is actually better. He's pushed the envelope in terms of what the requirement will be. He can be a serious all-rounder in the making. I don't want to jinx him. I don't want to speak too much about him, but from what I've seen, he's got game awareness. He knows when to bowl. He can bowl at any stage in the innings. He knows when to score. A lot like Jaiswal when it comes to that batting maturity that is there. You can see in a kid. Whether his age doesn't apply to that. It's something you are born with, or it's something your structure of cricket and your coaching has taught you on how to close a game out. and that way he's got the ingredients of being a very, very fine cricketer in the future.
Right.
I also like Soumya Pandey, the left
The
arm
left arm
spinner.
spinner.
And probably I remember him picking up good wickets versus, was it New Zealand? Yeah, it was New Zealand. So uh, probably it's looking good that we have good left arm spinners. I'm afraid about right arm off break bowlers because after Ashwin and Sundar, you have dearth of them. So probably that's where these young guys are looking good at the moment. Uh, I like how India have got Saurabh Kumar into the main India setup. So things are looking good, but we'll have to wait and see how they stack up against the big teams.
Right.
In the under 19, this thing, it's only going to come down for the pressure of the finals. I don't see any, it's only going to come down to that. We'll probably even win it because at this level, our record speaks for itself. We've got 5 or 6 of these titles already.
South
So
Africa is a difficult opponent. The pace
they
bowling attack
are,
is
but they're
phenomenal.
not going to. We've got enough. There's Limbani fellow. He's moving the ball from one continent to the other when it is thing. I don't know which team it was again. Big booming in swingers he was bowling. He gets it right in the first spell. He can finish it off over there itself.
Yeah, fair enough. So to wrap this up, I think like congrats to Yashasvi Jaiswal for a double hundred. I think he has looked the most compact test player like since he has debuted. I think like it's been I know South Africa series you can't expect people to score on those pitches, but even in the second innings in the South African series, the way he mastered that short chase, the short chase. I think the start which he gave that was also very crucial to actually set the nerves down a bit. To anyway, so I think like I think he's what we thought Gill will become. But anyway, so I think that's something big to say. But anyway, so best wishes to him for his career forwards, and I think can be an asset in all formats. I think I would want him to focus more on Test cricket because I think that is where I think he's most suited, going by everything. So anyway, so anything else from your side, or like we are good to wrap up for this show? Anything else? Cool.
I think we're good to wrap this up.
Okay, cool. So this is all what we had for today. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and please share your thoughts about cricket around the globe. Anything we missed talking about, anything you would like to talk about, let us know as well. We are also trying to gain more info about the cricketing scenarios everywhere. So if you enjoyed, please do like, share, and subscribe with your family and friends and whoever enjoys cricket. And yeah, thanks always for joining, watching. See you next time.
Right.
Bye.
See
Like,
you.